Hey, I'm Chris Cooper. This is Run a Profitable Gym, and this is our Ask Me Anything AMA episode. Every week in Two Brain, we host office hours where we bring in experts to help people work through specific problems. This is on top of one-on-one mentorship that we give to every single gym owner in our program, where they have specific scheduled calls one-on-one with a gym owner who's already achieved what they want to achieve. These office hours are weekly bonuses where we bring in subject matter experts to talk about their specialty. And that could be high ticket, it could be sales, it could be Facebook marketing. We rotate experts through the group, and usually about 50 people attend. One of these episodes was an Ask Me Anything as we prepared to get ready for our 2023 summit. The team was packing up and traveling to Chicago. And I got some really amazing questions, and I thought maybe I should share them with you. If you want to be in our free public group, you can go to gymownersunited.com. We sometimes bring in experts into that group, but our regular expert rotation happens in our private Two Brain business group in our mentorship practice. And you can click the link below this video if you want to book a call and talk about having an actual gym mentor. All right, so I've got 5 great questions that came up in our AMA episode. And first, I'm going to answer the question, when should you switch mentors? Second, I'm going to answer the question, how to be more coachable. I know that sounds like a planted question, like I asked somebody to ask that question, but it wasn't, and it's awesome. Third, why we do one-on-one and not group coaching in Two Brain. Fourth, how do you get the money to buy a building? And fifth, what a certified millionaire means. These are all questions that were asked by people just like you, gym owners who were really curious. And I thought, okay, I'll try and give you the best possible answer that I can. So here we go. Let's start with when to switch mentors. What's really amazing about this question is not that people are asking, like, should I have a mentor anymore? 5 years ago, when I was mentoring gym owners, nobody else was even using the term mentor. Like, Two Brain Business introduced the gym community to mentorship. And we started doing that when I was writing about having a mentor way back in 2009. In 2016, we started offering one-on-one mentorship to gym owners. And while a lot of business coaching companies don't do that because it is hard to grow a business and maintain quality and scale when you're doing one-on-one mentorship, we still do it because I think that's what gets gym owners the best results. So the question, though, is that when you have a one-on-one relationship with somebody, how often should you switch that? What are some signs you know that you should switch mentors? This actually happens in Two Brain about 5% of the time every single month. There are currently about 870 gyms in Two Brain, and every single one has a one-on-one mentor. I'll get to why I like one-on-one more in a moment. But eventually, your conversation with the mentor becomes less objective. So you're no longer like strangers to one another. You become friends and you start having these conversations about family or the weather or whatever, right? And sometimes you get on a call and you're not really sure what you should talk about. And the mentor, who knows your metrics inside and out, is waiting for you to say that you've got this problem and you don't. However, when you're talking to a new mentor, you never have that problem because they are looking at things with fresh eyes. They've got a new layer of objectivity. So for me, working one-on-one with business coaches and mentors, I tend to switch about every 2 years. Now, I'll qualify that a little bit. I always have a one-on-one mentor. This person sees the long tail for me. They see the giant overall picture. I talk with my current mentor, Carrie Wilkerson, once every 2 weeks. We talk for about 40 minutes max. I also have business coaches. Business coaches are specialists. And so you usually have a short-term engagement with a business coach and a long-term engagement with a business mentor. So a business coach might be really, really good at like improving your podcast. So I have a business coach for podcasting. I have a business coach for public speaking. So I had a 6-week engagement with her. I have a business coach for YouTube. So with him, I might work for like 12 weeks. It's a short-term engagement. They're a specialist. They're going to help me get better at one thing. A mentor is somebody that you're going to have a longer standing relationship with. For me, that relationship is usually best when it lasts about 2 years, and then I switch to somebody else. Because at the 2-year mark, there's a lot of friendship happening, right? And that means that I don't get the objectivity that I need. So I'll give you an example. I worked with Dan Martell from 2016 to 2018. At the 2018 mark, I was no longer the smallest business in his group anymore. But Dan and I had found a lot of things in common. We both loved to do CrossFit, and we both loved to ride bikes, and we both had 2 kids, and etc. We were both in Canada. And so we would get on the calls, and it would be hard not to talk about what the government was doing, hard not to talk about what your kids are doing. And at that point, you don't have that objectivity, right? So when I switched mentors and I started working with Todd Herman in 2018, Todd had us down to Manhattan. I sat on his couch and he immediately pointed out that my ascension model was bad. It's actually kind of a funny story that I've talked about on other episodes. Because he was objective. It doesn't mean he's smarter than Dan. It means that he brings a different perspective into the conversation. So for me, about 2 years is it. The beautiful part, though, is that with 60 mentors in Two Brain, you don't have to start over from scratch. This is the downside of switching mentors. Like when I went from working with Dan to working to Todd, I had to start from a blank slate. Todd knew nothing about my business, and I had to fill him in from scratch. And so it took, a couple of months to really ramp up to the point where we got into that mentorship sweet spot. Within Two Brain, though, you can switch from one mentor to another, and you don't lose all that momentum because the new mentor has your backstory. They have a record of every conversation that you've ever had. They have all your metrics. They know what you've done. They've seen your task list. They know what you've completed. They're really like running at your pace, and it's really easy to just move from one mentor to the other in Two Brain. So you gain that objectivity, you gain that fresh perspective, you gain the new excitement of having a new mentor, which is awesome, but you don't lose that track record of success, and you don't have to explain your business from scratch all over again. So for me, 2 years is great. If you're within Two Brain and you're listening to this, all you have to do is send a message, help@twobrainbusiness.com, and say, I need a mentor refresh. That's it. Second question that was brought up is, how can I be more coachable? Now, this is a really interesting question, and to be honest, I didn't, see this question in the audience or anything, but I have been talking about coachability a lot in our groups. First, to help the gym owners help their clients be more coachable, but also to help them improve their ROI on mentorship. I get an amazing ROI on mentorship. That's why I'm always so eager to spend money, like $250,000 a year, on mentorship, because I know that I'm coachable and I know that I'm going to get a lot out of it. In fact, I finished a call this morning with Carrie Wilkerson, and I told her at the end of the call that call was worth $15,000 to me. Doesn't mean I paid $15,000 for the call, not even close, but I could measurably see the 3 things that she gave me in 35 minutes were going to be worth at least $15,000 to me in the next year, okay? That's not because she's telling me something different than she's telling somebody else. It's because I'm coachable and I know how to get value out of a call. So here is how you be coachable. Number 1, get over your skepticism and then sign up. So for example, let's say that you're skeptical about a business coach or a process, right? Like, oh man, I don't want to use TikTok, or oh, I don't want to learn from this dude. That's fine. Don't sign up until you're over that skepticism. So do whatever it takes to get over it. Look for proof. Talk to their current clients. Read their content, and if that takes you a year or 2, then so be it. Like, do whatever it takes so that the skepticism is behind you, because then when you sign up, you can go all in right from the start and you don't have to second guess everything. What many people do is they are skeptical, they sign up anyway, and they carry that skepticism with them into the program, and it hurts them, because ultimately mentorship is an investment in yourself. And if you're entering the race with concrete blocks tied around your ankles, you're not going to win. And then what happens is, you get 3, 4, 5 weeks into the program, you're learning, you're investing, you're not seeing like a massive compounding return on that investment yet. And so you quit, and you quit at the bottom of the ROI curve before you actually start to get results, which is like the worst time to quit, but that's what you do because you're skeptical. And so what I would say is, like, do whatever it takes to get over your skepticism before you sign up. That's the first thing. I'm skeptical of a lot of business coaches. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of stuff out there on social media that's just not true. But the way that I get over my skepticism is I have a conversation with them, I consume their content, I look for where they're admitting their mistakes. That is so key. For me, if a business coach does not admit their mistakes, they're hiding something from you. And if they're hiding that, then like what else are they hiding? Or they actually have no experience in the thing that they're teaching, so they haven't made any mistakes. We all make mistakes, you get that. That's my biggest skepticism filter. But get over that before you sign up. Because once you're signed up, the best way to get an ROI is just to be like all in. The second thing that I try to do is adapt the specific instructions of the mentor. So for example, I could buy Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. Amazing book. I could read the book and I could like implement some of it. And then I get on a call with him and he starts telling me how to buy back my time. And I'm like, Dan, I have this knowledge. I can skip this part. But what you actually want to do are pay attention to the little tiny specific details on implementation. You're not hiring a mentor to gain knowledge. You're hiring a mentor to gain speed. The mentor will filter out the stuff you don't have to do, but when they tell you to specifically do one thing, do that thing and know how to measure the ROI. If you're not sure how to measure the ROI, ask them. Look, one more how to be coachable tip, and I could do an entire episode on this. If you aren't sure if you're getting an ROI on mentorship, or if you're not sure you're getting results, the best thing that you can do is say that to the mentor. Hey, I'm not sure I'm getting results here. Or how can I improve the ROI that I'm getting on your service? These are great ways to be coachable. I'll give you one more tip. After you have your call with the mentor, so first off, you're doing a call. We schedule usually in like 1 hour blocks. As soon as you learn one thing that you can take action on, or you get clarity on one thing, or you know exactly what to do, you make a decision on one thing, you should end the call and just go do that thing. It doesn't matter if you've got an hour blocked off for the call and the call at like the 22-minute mark, you know exactly what you got to do. The best thing you can do is get off that call and use the next 38 minutes to action it. Because, if not, what typically happens? You go the full 60 minutes, you get off the call, you eat your lunch, you're starting to forget what you're supposed to do already. The reason that all of this exists, that Two Brain happened, was because in 2009, I already knew this trick. I knew that if I left the call and didn't start taking action, I would forget what I was supposed to do, or I would lose the sense of urgency that would make me do it. And so I would finish my meeting with my mentor, I would sit down and I would write every single thing that he told me as if I was teaching it to somebody else. That's what the blog, don'tbuyads.com, that's what that was. It was me teaching it to myself by pretending to teach it to others so that I made sure that I would do it. It was a love letter to myself. It was accountability. More than anything else, it was just like a logbook of everything that I was learning and doing. So when you finish your call, you should sit down and log what you've done. Just like in a gym, you finish your workout, you sit down and you log what you've done, right? That compounds over time. So you should be recording this stuff. And these are some great ways to be more coachable. Definitely like reach out to your mentor for help if you're not sure. Another great one, this one might seem obvious, is like show up to the call with your full attention. There is no point in getting on a call with your mentor while you're driving. There is no point scrambling to finish your workout, showing up on the call with your mentor, still sweating, still distracted, 5 minutes late. That is not you being coachable. That is you trying to be judged on attendance. You will not fix your gym simply by showing up and having your name checked off on the attendance list. You will not fix your gym simply by reading the book 3 times. You will fix your gym by doing the action. And doing the action means you need to show up and actually do the stuff. You need to be present. You need to be focused. You need to be not distracted. And you're being held accountable for it. The best way to maximize the outcome from mentorship is to be coachable. So hopefully those tips help. The third question that I got in our AMA was, why do we do one-on-one and not group coaching? Recently, I've been talking more about the value of ascension. So in our episode where I talked about like why we're capping Two Brain mentorship at 1,000 people, I talked about how people are now starting with other programs and then ascending to us, and how that happens in your gym too, right? If you're the best from all of the other gyms will find you. Best finds best is, it's not just our hashtag, it's our business model. And this is happening more and more. Every time another business coaching company enters the scene in the gym space, I don't stress about it because I know they're going to expose a lot of gym owners to coaching or mentorship. They might give them a couple of tips that are going to help them. And then the best clients will realize like they want to ascend up to two brain because, when you're at the top of the mountain climbers will reach you. The best ones will anyway. So this is happening quite a bit now. And one of the things that they say is they're coming out of these group coaching programs and they're attracted to one-on-one and two-brain. And so I sometimes get the question, like, why do you do one-on-one? The short answer is that's what always worked for me. The long answer is, like, there's a lot of reasons why we do one-on-one. The first one is that your mentor needs to be familiar with you. And if your mentor is only used to meeting you like in a group, they're not going to know the specific details of your business. They are not going to know your metrics. They're not going to know what you've tried before or like why something doesn't work for you, or, they're not going to know your market very well. What's going to actually happen in a group coaching program is that you're going to hear from the squeaky wheels the most. You're going to be, you'll gain knowledge at the level of like the lowest common denominator at your group, and you'll move at the speed of the slowest person in that group. Group coaching businesses are amazing businesses for the owner of that business, right? The reason that people set up group coaching businesses is to create a lifestyle for themselves. So group coaching businesses, it's very high margin because you don't need a lot of staff. You don't have to train your staff on your systems or your delivery. You don't have to train your staff on how to read data or how to get clients results. None of that. The clients coach each other. Yeah, your retention kind of sucks, but like the margins are incredible and you only have to do it for 3 years and you can retire. So when people are building group coaching programs, they are building a lifestyle business for themselves. I've been in a lot of programs where they really preach this, by the way, high-level business masterminds where they tell you, build a group coaching program, you're wasting your time with one-on-one. The problem is that one-on-one actually gets better results. So if you want to build a mentorship program around your client's lifestyle, the gym owners that are in Two Brain, you do that one-on-one. If you want to build a company that supports your lifestyle as the owner, you do group coaching. Me, I'm really about getting gym owners results. That's our mission, and that's why we do one-on-one. I'll give you a couple of examples here. So a lot of accounting companies now, they have like a pool approach to bookkeeping. Okay, so you sign up with this accounting company. Let's call it 123 Numbers, and they assign you a bookkeeper the first month, and the bookkeeper does your data entry. Great. The second month, you get this automated email from 123 Numbers, and it says put in your metrics. So you put in your metrics, and they have a question, and you hear from a different bookkeeper. Oh, okay, I guess that's okay. The third month, you have a question, and you say, can I get on a call with somebody? And you get on a call with somebody, if that's even available to you. And now it's like, Billy Bob from 123 Numbers on this call, and they're like, well, let me open up your books and go back through. And now they're trying to understand why your two previous bookkeepers made certain decisions. At tax time, when stuff really hits the fan, whoever the overriding accountant is trying to figure out, like, why did we make these decisions? This exact scenario created like a $80,000 mistake in Two Brain's books this year because they had this like rotating pool of bookkeepers, coaches, instead of having like a one-on-one assignment with an actual accountant, right? A mentor. So this kind of stuff can happen all the time. I'll give you another example. I was in a business coaching mastermind. So this is like a business coaching program for business coaches. And there were some really high level people in there. Two Brain was close to the top. Two Brain is huge, a very successful mentorship practice. But we were the only ones doing things one-on-one with our clients. And so our client results were better than anybody else. Our client retention was better than anybody else. You could point to, any one of our 860 odd clients, and I would probably know something about them, but it didn't matter if I knew because their mentor knew everything about them, and meanwhile, I'm in this program and they're telling me like, you got to do group coaching. They're doing group coaching. I'm getting very little value from the calls. They're sending me automated texts and I'm asking like, why are you asking me for my metrics? Nobody ever asked me like for the metrics or what I'm doing with them. Nobody looks at these metrics. Why are you sending me automated texts asking about my metrics if we're not going to use them to make decisions? So in a group coaching environment, many people like me feel like a number, where having a one-on-one mentor means you've got somebody who's familiar with you. They're objective enough because they don't work in your business that they can help you make logical decisions. They know your arc. They know what you've done in the past. They know why you're doing things a certain way. They're not just like coming at it fresh every single time without context. That one-on-one relationship, yeah, it is harder to scale. When you've got 60 mentors on a team, getting everybody trained really, really, really well, getting everybody to understand data and how to get clients results and action and tracking and doing QA, all that is way harder. But it's worth it because we want to maximize the results of our clients. All right, fourth question, unrelated to mentorship and coaching. How do I get the money to buy a building? So I had to learn this. I've done it a few times now. I own the building that I'm standing in. I own another building that my gym is in, a third building that's like retail, and then I have some residential stuff too. And a fourth one, also, I forgot that I have a fourth building it's like a self-storage business, and it has some tenants. There's a nursing clinic, hairdresser, etc. in there too. So how do you get the money to buy a building? When I was starting with this journey myself, I said, I don't know where I'm going to get the money, but also there's no buildings to buy. So I said, okay, I'm going to start putting money aside. I'm going to pay double my rent every month. So my rent was $3,200 or something. I'm going to pay $3,200 to my landlord and $3,200 to like a savings account, take it out of my checking account, put it somewhere else. And then when I find a building, I'll have that money for the down payment. Now, if you're going to buy a building that's $500,000 or whatever, it doesn't mean you have to have $500,000. You can borrow most of that money from the bank. The key, though, is that the bank is only going to lend you 70 to 80% of the purchase price of the building. Even though they've got an asset, they could turn around and just sell the building if you can't pay your loan. They're not going to lend you the full amount. You've got to find a way to have that first 20 to 30%. You can save it up. Luckily, I managed to save up that money because it took me 2.5 years to actually find my first commercial building anyway. Or you can get that from a private lender. So here it is. You got to come up with the first 20 to 30% usually on your own. And then you take that to the bank with a valuation on the building. The bank might look at your P&L. They're going to look at the cash that you have and say, okay, yeah, somebody else is taking the biggest risk here. I'll fund the last 80%. Where does that first 20% come from? I already said it could come from you. That's not what happens the majority of the time. You might find a third-party lender, like in the States, Wells Fargo does this. In Canada, BDC does this. There are other organizations in your town and in your state that might actually jump in and be that first-party lender. Or you can look at private lending. So for a lot of people right now, you could talk to like the most successful person in your gym and ask them if they will lend you the money. You're not asking them to partner in the business or asking them to partner in the building. You're just asking for a loan to buy the building. It's attractive to them. They're not doing you a favor, okay? They're going to charge you interest. But let's say that, right now as I record this, I can't make more than about 4.5% on my money. If I took $500,000 and I put that into a bond, I could get about 4.5% annual interest, right? Meanwhile, you, the buyer, can't get a better rate than about 8%. So you can borrow at 8, and I can lend my money to the bank in the form of a bond at about 4.5, maximum 5%. That delta between 5 and 8% is where it's beneficial for everybody. So if you can borrow money from a private lender like me at 6%, you're saving 2% interest. They're making 1.5 more than they could have made by putting their money in bonds or whatever. It's a pretty secure investment, honestly. There's going to be some lawyering to make sure. You're probably going to have to put up some kind of security, and it might be your house. But if you want to do this, the private lending option is not a bad one, and it's a win for everybody. It's a win for you because you can leverage the other 80%. It's a win for the lender because they're going to make more interest on their loan to you than they could just buying a bond or investing somewhere else. And it's a win for the bank, honestly, because they're not the one taking the big risk. So that's really like where you can get the money to buy a building. Okay. In the past, in the States especially, people were figuring out ways to use like borrowed SBA money or EIDL loans or whatever. There's more creative ways to do this, and we talk about this in our Tinker group all the time. But if I was doing it today and didn't own assets, didn't have the money, I would just start saving a little bit, $500 a month or whatever, while I was looking at buildings, knowing that it's going to take you a while to buy a building anyway. One thing I would not do is buy land and build a building, because those cost overruns are always like 50%, and that can really mess with like your calculation of whether it's worth it or not, but that's a different topic. Last question today is, what does a certified millionaire mean? So if you were at our summit this year, you saw 13 people, I think, come up on the stage and get recognized for reaching millionaire status for the first time. That means they have $1 million in net worth. What that means is if they sold everything that they own, collected cash on all of it, paid off all their debts, they would still have $1 million in cash left over sitting in their hands. That's what $1 million in net worth means. We use that metric because we can prove it. Other gurus use different metrics, and I honestly hate this. So first of all, one metric might be that your gym does $1 million a month in revenue, okay? That sounds amazing, but the reality is there are a lot of gyms out there that are doing $1 million a month in revenue, and the owner is taking home less than $50,000 of that. They are not millionaires. They just have like an okay income. And it's because, maybe they've got a big global gym and they've got a ton of debt to service. Maybe it's because their expenses are super duper high because of their location, or they're overstaffed, or they're undercharging, whatever. But doing $1 million a year in revenue does not make you a millionaire. Even worse than that, some programs that I've seen in the past will use MRR as a predictor of revenue. So let's say that you are selling like this short-term 6-week challenge, and you sell a bunch of them, and you do $80,000 in revenue for the month, okay? You've never done $80,000 in revenue before. You might never do that again, but you did it this month. Some gym marketing programs will say that you're $1 million gym because they'll take that, $83,000 a month, multiply it by 12 months, refer to your MRR, your monthly recurring revenue, and say, well, that extrapolates out to $1 million. All you got to do is do this every month. You and I both know that never happens. And this is like what causes the downfall of a lot of these gym marketing companies. You see 30 new gym marketing companies in your Facebook feed every month, but you never hear from the same ones 2 years from now, because they're always this like flash in the pan. I'll get you 30 leads. They're not going to do that forever. It's not a sustainable strategy. It's not worth the investment. But what really drives me bananas is when people say that they're producing like $1 million gyms, or $1 million years, or even millionaire gym owners, and they're actually not. The gym might produce $1 million, but the gym owner doesn't make $1 million. Or the gym might just have like one really good month, and the program counts that as like, well, they're going to do that forever. The reason that we do it this way, and we actually audit, is because I want to know, are we actually producing millionaires? The title of my next book is actually Millionaire Gym Owner. Now that we've figured out how to do this, how to build people, so first we build their systems, then we build their income, then we build their wealth. Now that we've gotten over 30 people to the millionaire status, I'm asking myself, how do we do it faster? And my writer, Robert, and I are interviewing every single one of these people and saying, like, how did you do it? What can people not do that will get them there faster? What would you do if you could do it all over again, etc. And we'll be publishing that toward the end of the year. But the reality is, like, when we say somebody is a certified millionaire, it means we've actually audited their assets. We know for sure that they are a real millionaire. And that's what makes me so proud of them, proud of the achievement, and proud of what we're doing in Two Brain for gym owners, is that everything is for real. So this is our AMA episode. If you have questions, you can email me, chris@twobrainbusiness.com, anytime. I answer my own email. You can join gymownersunited.com, and you can chat with me in person on Facebook and Messenger. And I hope to see you in there today. It's a great group. It's a free group, so it's not a mentorship practice, but we do put a lot of free content in there.